So, anyways,
Lives. Go ahead.
after Night Gallery, I'm going to be playing Poker Face.
Okie dokie. Live
That's
stream
good.
starting.
I may want to hit the music. Oh shit, let me get the thing up here.
Well, I thought you had the music.
I got it, but you have to let me know. I have to do that first. Oh, there.
There he was being all cocky.
So you're going to do the music or not?
Yeah, I got it. Just
Oh, okay.
you have to tell me when to hit it.
2 minutes.
Fuck, it's my notebook. Sorry.
Wow.
1 minute. Okay, hit it. Can't hear anything.
God dang cross-platform keyboard shortcuts always gets me. My apologies for the delay there.
There we go.
Bienvenidos, buenas noches desde España. Me llamo Joespaña. Welcome, good evening from Spain. My name is Joespaña, and I'll be your cook for this evening. I'm joined by Ann Lee, a retired college professor and a community member at the Daily Coast. They are a member of the National Council of Independent Scholars and is a contributor to the book, The Political Economy of Art, Making the Nation of Culture. Evening, man.
Hey, Joe, what's for supper?
Oh, a little cultural appropriation, I think, is on the menu. I hope the police aren't tipped off. You know,
Oh,
I'm really suffering through major withdrawal symptoms from the Far East, from Korea and Japan. Heavy, heavy withdrawal symptoms. Not just, waiting 15 minutes for a bus, not the level of garbage or disorder. Some of the food as well. A lot of rice. I don't know bathroom situation is a little bit different with a lot less rice consumption. Although being in the Valencia region, we are eating plenty of rice, just a little differently.
Yes.
Yes. But there's a dish that I was really fond of in Korea, and that maybe isn't so widely known, like kimchi or other dishes, but it's not cousin, but it's direct ancestor, maki sushi.
Hmm.
Japanese. What I'm going to make is gimbap, the dish made with nori,
Nori.
sheets of nori seaweed. It's a Korean dish that originated from the Japanese occupation of Korea. The maki sushi sandwich. Basically, gimbap evolved similar to maki sushi, but it's much bigger. The roll, it's about as big as the photo maki it's about generally about this big around,
Mhm.
and it's stuffed with all sorts of different ingredients. Typically, this is a sandwich, lunchtime sandwich, breakfast, dinner, midnight snack, anytime really. It can be served hot or cold. Um, it's basically similar to Japanese maki. It's a layer of rice and then some kind of vegetable, preferably pickled of some sort, some kind of meat. I think the most popular gimbap is uh, fried pork cutlet,
Mm.
pickled daikon, maybe spam, omelet, all sorts of things. What I thought I would do, of course, we keep it 100% vegetarian here.
Ah.
What I thought I would do is make, since getting ingredients is quite difficult here, especially in a tiny little village in the middle of Spain. I brought this from out of town. I didn't find much else. But we've got some paella rice, which I've soaked, and hopefully we've gotten enough of the starch out that it's not going to be so creamy, and we'll be able to have something close to sushi rice going on.
Mm.
But what I thought I would make is a Korean gimbap with Spanish characteristics. Call it. So a popular vegetable that goes in kimbap is steamed or blanched spinach. So we got that sorted, and so we'll do that. Another item that they have is daikon radish. Can't get any radish yet here, but we do have turnips. So I've got a
Mm.
turnip here, and I have some gurkeme or turmeric. Turmeric,
Mhm.
what is it called? So
Turmeric.
typical turmeric. So or haldi in Hindi. We'll add ground turmeric to the pickling liquid. So I'll quickly pickle this with Spanish vinegar,
Mm.
Jerez vinegar, which is quite sharp vinegar. And we'll mix the turmeric in there to get the traditional yellow of the Oshinko pickle, daikon pickle. So I'll get
Mm.
that. We've got the Spanish flavoring we got Spanish flavoring of the vinegar in this one. We've got roasted pickled peppers and paprika. So this will give it a nice smoky flavor, a nice creamy texture, in addition to the fried aubergine, which I think will
Yum.
add a lot of creaminess and crunch because I'm going to bread it like that pork chop.
Mm. Ah.
And for a little bitterness, I don't have bitter things we've got here. Well, there'll be a little bitterness in
aubergine, but I've got some endive here, which we'll slice up as well. So I get a little salad, little crunchy salad, crunchy pickle, creamy paprika, and creamy crunchy eggplant with some with your requisite dark green leafy vegetables, coupled with the wrapper of nori. So one thing that's unique that uniquely distinguishes Korean gimbap from Japanese maki sushi is that the Koreans, instead of using sweetened vinegared rice like the Japanese, they use sesame oil in their rice, so it's not pickled. Traditionally, the Japanese do that because this would sit around all day, and the vinegar would basically prevent it from going off. So what I'm going to do is take the oil that's packed with the peppers, mix a little bit of that in with the rice. And the other difference between gimbap and Japanese sushi is that once you roll it, they brush it with oil, and it basically gives it a good seal. It makes it easier to cut, and it reduces the fishy taste for any of those people that have a big hang up with the seaweeds. But that's the plan for this evening.
Now I'm hungry again.
I think this might take a while, so you could pace yourself with
Alrighty.
The news of the world.
Well, I hope other folks will weigh in. Let's put it that way. It's been a busy week, and I think we all have opinions about what's going on. For example, let's see, Trump was in Pittsburgh claiming that part ownership for the Japanese of U.S. Steel does not constitute giving up. In fact, it is actually. If you'll note kind of how ownership and other financialization occurs. So, as usual, he's lying, but he's claiming that he saved U.S. Steel, which is I mean, how many times has the U.S. government saved U.S. Steel? It's just it's quite frightening, actually. And it doesn't really alter the issues of the steel market. That is, that Japanese and Korean steel still cheaper and pretty much the same. So it is just a more sleight of hand. Been a busy week. Elon went to the White House to break up with Trump, and they clearly won't break up. There is clear codependence between the two, and needless to say, how Musk has managed to get all of his little businesses entangled in the U.S. government, aside from the recent attempt, and which will probably be successful, that the Palantir company will own most of our private information at some moment, which I hope people will resist. But that's happening. It is. It's enough to give you anguish. But so Trump himself has anguish this week. His lawyers claim that he's suffering mental anguish for having to watch the Kamala Harris 60-minute interview. And this is part of his suit against CBS and against the Pulitzer people. It's very complicated in the sense that Trump's feelings got hurt, and he wants to hurt the Pulitzer Prize people, the Washington Post, 60 Minutes. It's all kind of a piece. And I wish that the press would ask him about his mental anguish. That would be a really good thing, just to have him vent about his personal mental anguish, such as it is. And yes, it is the week of Taco Boy. Trump always chickens out, and he did again. I put up a thing that showed the multiple times that Trump has tacoed out, where he'll make some sort of broad or stupid or double down or increase and will eventually roll it back. And so essentially what we wind up with is a kind of stagnation that is building. It in the short run, it could look okay. In the long run, it is exploding the deficit. It is it could, given that there could be some kind of thing, if you cut out the provision for vaccines and for research and for a whole bunch of other things, there could be another pandemic, which, yes, is spreading. There is a pandemic spreading from Asia. It is a COVID variant, and you just expect the stuff to they got a lot of people, a lot of things mutate, and it hasn't yet wound up in the U.S. But as we had that COVID thing before, it doesn't take too long for this stuff to spread. So
it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I don't know what anything else thinking.
Yeah, you were going the other direction anyway, and you're in Spain now. So, geez, but that's happening. Mental anguish and doom ahead. Doom. I mean, all kinds of things have happened. Trump has just fired the director, who happens to be a person of color, as I recall, the director of the Smithsonian's National Portrait Gallery. Now, I'm sure his claim is that this person is such a DEI advocate that it was some sort of danger to the nation or something. So it's not clear that he actually has the power to fire her, but apparently he has. And I think this is a preemptive attack. Trump activity has a very limited kind of menu, but this is one of those things. It's a preemptive thing, which is a common Trump activity meant to divert or distract you. Needless to say, the Trump portrait will probably have a little better, will have less complications in getting approved for the National Portrait Gallery. It took a couple of years for Obama to get his portrait in the Portrait Gallery. It was a pretty interesting portrait, very modern. Needless to say, Trump's will not be modern. It will be, I expect it to be quite bizarre, actually, as his portraits have been, the various portraits he's been floating around the White House. So anyway, needless to say, Trump revealed that he was a snowflake with all of his mental anguish. And I assume that if someone resists whatever his portrait gallery thing, that will be also equally resistant. But it sort of falls into the same category that I think Hamilton, all the people in Hamilton don't want to perform at the Kennedy Center because of Trump. And so lots of other things are going on. There is a resistance. It's kind of working in strange ways, but it's continuing. I put up a thing that suggested we're moving towards that. I think that's what the Democrats are doing, is they're giving him enough rope, and I think that is happening. The cutbacks in medical stuff, toying with the vaccine system, attacking Harvard. Now, there's an entire side story that suggests, and I don't think it's true, because it's probably a conspiracy theory, or that Harvard asked for too much money, perhaps, that because Barron Trump didn't get into Harvard, no one knows that he really applied, but Melania says that he did, or that he didn't. So we don't know. But clearly, I think Trump's attack on Harvard are obviously a kind of big distraction and highly problematic. But it's, Trump always, goes for the gold in that particular sense. Needless to say, gold is going to be featured in the recent article that talks about what the model for that Trump modeled his ballroom at Mar-a-Lago after is it Louis the 16th, Versailles 14th, whatever, Hall of Mirrors. Uh, and he wants that to occur in this new wing that he wants to add on to the West Wing. And if he gets it constructed in time, that's kind of what there'll be, this kind of weirdly imperial or imperious presidency at work. And it sort of fits along with the paving over the Rose Garden. So, needless to say, there will be changes. One hopes that the next Democratic president will actually do something about that paved over Rose Garden, but perhaps not. It's something that centrists would probably worry about. Needless to say, free speech stuff is at work in a variety of ways, and it's been a busy day. The Department of Justice is, as some people have described, into a raging dumpster fire under Trump. Um, uh, the Supreme Court is, I think, waiting for more the complete the continuance of the appeal that Trump has made about the turning down of his tariff policies that the appeals court took care of this week and unanimously. And Trump is sort of certainly pissed off because one of the appeals court judges is a Trump appointee, seemingly, and he didn't quite mention this explicitly, chosen from the short list provided by the Federalist Society and Leonard Leo. And so Trump put out a little posting that attacked Leonard Leo, which not a good idea, but we'll see whether Leonard Leo, who is also has, I think it's the reason why he is a conservative. He has sort of mental anguish. So seizing power and reorganizing the Supreme Court is his little baby. So essentially, Trump sort of attacked Leonard Leo. So we'll see whether that turns up to be anything. He was just annoyed that, Leonard Leo gave him this list. Trump chose from the Federalist short list, and they still voted against him because of the darn rule of law. So that happened.
That's still a thing.
He believes that if he chooses them, they have fealty occurs. People got to be loyal to him. And it's just delusional. All of it is delusional. That is to demand that local politics in California hew to his every whim. So that's going on. It's just wild, and one assumes that at some moment all the accumulated craziness is going to, you got to move forward and try and impeach him, or at least to constrain him. It's clear that his cabinet won't do that. And it appears as if Musk lost a lot. I mean, what is it? 50% of value on the Tesla, and I don't think it can recover. I think once you see alternative products come into the United States, and this is a good opportunity for a.
It's okay, Professor Anley. I gave him a
Yes.
lovely golden key.
Yes,
Lovely
sir.
golden key. I mean, I've given them to other people, but this one's especially nice because it's going to you, Elon.
Oh man, it is. We're in such
There was a
trouble
little tumult with the shareholders, wasn't there? People wanting him to step down, making
Yes.
arrangements for it.
because it's similar to his issues with Twitter.
Mm.
There was a, it lost value too. It still is, has not returned to its original value. So other things are going to happen. It's just monkey business, capitalist monkey business. So that's happening. There seems to be on the sidelines things to rename. There's a whole bunch of things that people want to rename for Trump, and I don't know. It's I wish someone would go ahead and, name a sewage plant or something after the guy, but that just seems not to have happened quite yet. Um, let's see. There haven't been any big disasters. There, well, let me just, since we're close to that particular time, what Trump reveals is that he really doesn't know what's going on at all in government. Reporters ask him stuff, and he just sort of forgets that, maybe he signed off on something, but he can't remember all of those things and doesn't really care ultimately. So that's what's going on. Um, the local politics or the domestic politics are actually interesting. Special elections have tended not to elect Republicans. There's some business there. There's a monkey business with the Alabama State House. So Tommy Tuberville, um, town of Tuber, um, is not going to run for re-election, but rather is going to run for, or I think it comes in under the terms. So I guess he can still run for re-election for Senate, but he wants to run for governor of Alabama. Uh, which is, I don't know. Alabama has the weirdest politics. What with all that Ten Commandments in the classroom, and which I think Texas has now enacted. So stuff's happening. Strange stuff is happening. So Tommy Tuberville has put his hat in the ring. I think he did it essentially to try and scare off people. But noting, of course, that he's the former Auburn coach, I would hope that roll tide that the state of Alabama would send Tommy Tuberville packing, so to speak. So that's that. Back to tacos.
Oh, before we
Trump.
do that, I've
Oh,
basically got our cutlet, our
aubergine.
cutlets. We've got our daikon, or not daikon. It's what is it called? Turnip
Turnips.
pickles going. And now I've got a little bit of water with a little mirin and a little sweetened uh, salty water for the spinach, which I'll quickly blanch and then toss in a bucket of ice. Spinach ice
Yum,
bucket challenge.
yum, 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 yum. Uh, yeah, I actually was so enamored with Taco Tuesday that I made myself a couple of tacos last night. Anyway, I can see why it is a very cheap way of keeping keeping your family together. Anyway, keeping them alive. And needless to say, the continuing issues of let's see, there was great applause for the president of Harvard at yesterday's commencement, and there was all these things that referred to the resistance of Harvard to attempts to purge the nation and purge Harvard of international students, which has also been temporarily turned back. All of these things are going to be problematic in the future. Needless to say, all of these things chill um, international student uh, entries, applications to American colleges and universities. A lot of scrambling going on, particularly since uh, the State Department wants to eject people because they're international and they have contrary political views, and so there's all this social media analysis that's going to go on that if you said or checked the wrong box somewhere, you're probably going to be in trouble. Um, Only one or two people who have been taken out of the country for even though they're citizens or if they have some other issue. Only a couple have either been released or came back. So things are still screwy. There was an attempt last week to try and send people to Sudan. I don't think anyone got there. I think everyone got held up before they sent planes off with uh, with migrants of one kind or another to there. And the latest data is that of the group that got sent to El Salvador, 50 of them are either American citizens or are not criminals. And that's, I think, a significant number of people to just send there because you decided to pull them off the street and just send them out of the country. So, needless to say, crazy people are at work. And but back to tacos. Trump is really it gets under his skin. I think when people refer to taco stuff, and the designated hitter, I think she's a lesser known correspondent for one of the networks, asked the taco question, and Trump did get upset. It was whenever he uses the word nasty, it is something that he's just not happy with, and he's very flummoxed. So I'm just hoping that they'll continue to do this, and maybe reach a point where the right wing folks will even start asking taco questions. So one hopes that that's going to be what's happening.
Every time you say
Uh,
taco, I get confused. I keep thinking, "Oh, am I making the right dish? Was I supposed to be making tacos tonight? What was the
Taco adjacent. Instead of tortillas, it's
the
rice.
Korean taco?
Yeah. Let's see. There are other issues with Kristi Noem, nothing terribly important. The Pope seems to have a good hand-eye coordination as he caught a doll that was thrown at him while he was making an appearance in the Pope Mobile. Caught it with his left. I don't know if he's a lefty or not, a left-hander. But he caught it kind of, in midair. Good catch. And on the 14th, he's going to be doing mass available to Chicago. They're gonna live stream a mass on the 14th of June, which is, of course, Flag Day and Donald Trump's birthday and No King's Day, et cetera, et cetera. So that's interesting. This is a minor element, but some people are quite excited about that, particularly I think in Chicago. So there's that. um, I think Trump, because he does actually watch television too much, needless to say, I think Jimmy Kimmel did a taco bit. But I think there is a cognitive decline. I mean, he is starting to lose it slightly. And I think it's just in between all of the kind of whatever drugs he's taking, which are very similar. Um, Apparently, there was a report in Rolling Stone today about how many drugs Elon Musk is taking. Dude takes a lot of drugs. I'm sorry to say that. It's just apparently he's got a ketamine, um, he jones for ketamine, and apparently the side effects, if you are an avid user of ketamine, the side effects are turning up in other reports about Musk's health. And then there's some side reports that he's been using other kinds of drugs like Adderall, et cetera, which I guess he can share with Trump, who that's what he uses to get going for public appearances. So that's happening. Let's see. The same stuff is happening. Greater criminality for drug users, greater penalties for removing the continuing the. I don't think there's been a legal challenge yet for the 500,000 Venezuelans. I think it includes Hondurans and Cubans who are going to have the sort of temporary pass that they get for being in the U.S. for a variety of reasons, whether it's applications for asylum or a variety of other things. They were all protected, and now they're not protected. So it'd be interesting to see whether there's going to be that kind of stuff ratcheted up, and how they're going to enforce it. in interesting ways. Are they going to put them in a plane and try and get them to land in Venezuela? That is for the Venezuelans. How are they going to do that? Or are they going to do it through some intermediary? That is, try to land them all in Colombia. Colombia is probably not going to go along with it, but let's just say land them in Colombia and try and push them over the border into Venezuela, and creating a border crisis between Colombia and Venezuela, needless to say, or some other kind of craziness. There are other ways to do that craziness. It's unfortunate to hear it, but that's a fact. And he's trying to meet his quota, right? Aside from the fact that there's overlaps and conflicts of interest in private prisons for the head, the so-called immigration czar Holman, who happens to be profiting from incarcerating more people. But in order to meet the what is it? The overstatement of Trump is 21 million. It may be more like 5 million, maybe. But he's got to meet numbers, and it's pretty clear now that they're not going to meet those numbers, because that grabbing people arbitrarily is not going to cut it ultimately, because you're just going to bog the entire system down with people who have actual rights, particularly the ones who actually are American citizens who are being somehow given a free ride somewhere else. There's going to be lawsuits. Lawfare will be the name of the game. But of course, the summer is coming, almost here, and it's going to slow up a lot of processes. It's unfortunate that there is a seasonal kind of element to the way our government works, and people take a lot of time off in the summers, even though there are whole classes of people who just have to work every damn day, or 6 days a week or whatever. So that's happening. All righty then.
I will say it is summer here in Spain.
Indeed.
Definitely busted out the face fan.
Hot.
So when you're making your sushi rice or your gimbap rice, after it comes out, after it's finished cooking, you can basically take out your fan and slowly fan it. Move the rice around gently after you've seasoned it. Give it a little more flowing, cooling.
Indeed.
Now, a gimbap, you can have it warm. You can serve it either warm or cold, doesn't matter, or room temperature. But almost ready to get going. So I
roll
mix
that
this.
sucker up.
I mix the olive oil and the pickling solution for the peppers. So what these were cured in, we added here. A nice sheen. You can also add, in Korea, they mix sesame oil and sesame seeds. Can do. Unfortunately, I could only find toasted sesame seeds in the grocery, which is a criminal act. They shouldn't be selling those. By the time regular sesame seeds get to the shelf, they're rancid almost. But definitely don't buy toasted. It doesn't take much time to toast your own seeds. And the taste is so much better. Come on, man.
All those Spanish
Just
characteristics.
a little bit more prep to go. Let's see. Oh, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No. I'm just wandering around. There are. I haven't talked about Ukraine. Ukraine still is doing whatever Ukraine does. Their missiles and drones continue. It is a massive operation on both sides. There's a slight let up this week. I think they're just running out of stuff. There was discussion about the production of Russian-made Sahid drones. Those are Iranian-designed drones. So the Russians are getting a little better at it. They're improving the technology of it. There was a story from a couple of months ago that the Russians are actually importing people. I mean, they're paying them, but not well, I think, from other countries to come in and work in their drone production facilities. We'll see whether that works or not. We all know what kind of trouble it gets when you try to force labor to make stuff. And so that's kind of happening. I talked last week about the dedication. I made a mistake. It was Cesar 155 millimeter artillery pieces, not the big, because I thought the Cesar was a much a bigger weapon. I think they're called Archer. Well, there's one called the Archer, which is a bigger one, but there is a French one I think that has a longer range, which was very useful. That is, it has an additional 5 kilometer range in terms of landing shells. But anyway, needless to say, more stuff transferred to, and the buildup of a domestic Ukrainian drone production facilities is improving. It's increasing. I think that I think what the Russians did not appreciate is that Ukraine has a really significant industrial base that, they really haven't been taking the time to bomb it. If they're going to bomb anything, they should have been bombing those things. But I think the Ukrainians have displaced all those sorts of things. And that is that they've spread them out. They've diversified their, and also put them farther inland or west in Ukraine, so they're less likely to get hit. But small things occurred, right? They were building or assembling a Czechia assault rifle, and now they've gone full bore. They're not assembling; they're rather manufacturing from the ground up, and so that's going to change the nature of small arms production, at least at one level. It's a standard assault rifle. It's a 5.56, and the difference is, and probably the better reason for it, is that it uses an aluminum or aluminum alloy receiver rather than a polymer one. So it'll be slightly heavier, but also more accurate. So I think there is a care when you look at how the Ukrainians operate some of their state industries or some of their military industrial complex. They take great care in production. So there's a lot of that going on. Needless to say, as I mentioned before, M113s have been transferred. Other kinds of vehicles. I'm assuming that the M1A1 Abrams is going to be in the field eventually. I think they have to do a lot of modifications in order to get them to work properly. Otherwise, they'll get bad things will happen. Let's put it that way, because of the way the Russians are actually, trying to do. They advance very slowly, but they still haven't gone over 20% of Ukraine's land area, and there is coming up. Everyone is anticipating a major offensive by the Russians in the next week or so. Now, whether military intelligence really knows more or less about this, that's kind of fascinating. Equally so, at the same moment, the Russians are sending a lot of ordnance into Ukraine, mainly cheaper cruise missiles, and in response, the Ukrainians have a drone that has little baby drones that can be launched from the drone. And so that's sort of an interesting little piece that they have going on. And this past week, whether it was the Ukrainians or not, could have been just organized crime or some other reason, the deputy mayor of Sevastopol got assassinated. He went to a dating site, made a date. Date shows up, and they got blown up. And is it a hate crime? Is it something else? But needless to say, it did happen, and it was just sort of fascinating. Now, the reason why this guy was getting blown up has political import. That is, he was one of those Russians in charge when Mariupol was under siege, and there was a lot of folks who died in Mariupol.
So I
It's a
guess he
mess.
didn't put "I don't blow" on the first date on his website.
Blow up on the first date. It's, they had. It is weird that they have video of it. So I'm sure there's another story going along. But these stories are there's a lot of these stories, and they happen in these very weird little ways. There still is some resistance going on in Russia itself. Somebody was it a senior guy, a general, got blown up last week. He was just, I think they had sort of monitored his movements, and so he was just walking home, and apparently a car blew up next to him. So that was kind of weird. But then you have video of it, so there's always a certain set of intentions behind such activity. Um, and so those things happened. It's been a busy week in that sense. Otherwise, we've been apparently Macron, the president of France, managed to get slapped by his wife. Yeah, recall that his wife is 24 years older than he. She was his teacher in high school, and needless to say, he got hitched to her. And apparently, there's this entire body of cartoons and other animations of Macron's wife slapping him. And I think they tried to excuse it as being playful, etc., but there's been no official comment on it. But needless to say, everybody who wants to do a little satire has done all kinds of crazy stuff. So if you want to see the kind of viral stuff in France that goes on because of slapping, the fact is that Macron has been punched out a couple of times by, just various types. He's on a thing, he's shaking some hands, and somebody decides to punch him in the head. So that's happened at least twice.
He's just got one of them faces. That's all it is.
That's just punchable. I don't know. I think one of them, he got hit by some guy who's a monarchist. I don't know what the other one was, but needless to say, it's punching Macron seems to be a French thing. So that's happened this past week. The usual things are happening everywhere. Worries about Mauritius, worries about Diego, what is it? The island.
Diego Garcia.
Diego Garcia. Yes, because the British still have some involvement in that as well. So there's something or other that is being annoyed about in that particular instance. It takes away from the fact that they've based, B-2 bombers out there. They're sitting around. I think they're still sitting around. They were used for, I think, a single operation, but it's pretty clear that they're there for the duration for a variety of reasons. And so that's happening. In Gaza, Israel news, apparently the goal of the IDF is to create two, I don't know what they're going to be, walled cities or zones that they're going to take over a sort of a center section, which is in the middle of Gaza, and then the northern section, close to the border with Israel. So they've already, in effect, divided up the two of the three population centers for Gaza. And, more terrible things are going to happen. And yes, bad stuff has happened every day. 20 to 40 people in various just awful things have happened. And the accountability for it, there's children being shot in the head by Israel. It's just horrible. And it's troubling every day that we see it, but it's there, and that's happening. There's other minor things that are going on. Irritations about, let's see, what is it, Bulgaria? The government of Bulgaria. And the election in Poland is coming up, and Noam, Christy Noam, had decided to weigh in on the right-wing guy who's running in Poland, and so the pro-Russian candidate. So there's that. Um, and so I took a little time aside and started to look at what the future looks like for NATO. Not that one really cares, but it's just interesting how they deploy assets. In other words, there are places like Latvia and Lithuania. Well, is it Latvia, Estonia don't have tanks. They just don't have tanks. Their army has armored personnel carriers, but it's not like they have a big army or anything. It's just that, but they did, transfer a lot of things, howitzers and stuff to Ukraine, and so they're on record as being, supportive of Ukraine. But the fact is that the way that they deploy air assets, for example, the United States every 6 years deploys a small squadron to a unified command that covers the Baltic states. So, in other words, um, they don't really have a lot of stuff in any of these three countries, the Baltic states. They don't have that sophisticated air defense. There's a lot of things they just don't have, and with all due respect to the Suwalki gap, um, it's going to be not easy, but problematic, let's say, for the Russians to try and seize the Baltic states back, which they may attempt to do. But I think obviously everyone is planning for this sort of stuff. And similarly, Poland, probably because of history, has a much more significant military force. Aside from basing American nukes on their soil. There's no American nukes on any of the other Baltic states, but it's just interesting. And why is that interesting? Well, it's because the Estonians were going to pull over a Russian shadow tanker this past week, and the Russians decided they'd break out an Su-35 jet to try and protect the tanker, which makes no sense because the Estonians don't really have any major air defense on their little air Coast Guard cutters. So it's sort of weird that trying to mess with each other. Ultimately, air assets got up there, but it was just sort of interesting that nothing really happened, but people are just worried about each other. For example, another Russian ship lingered over the telecom lines that got cut, some of which got cut the other week, and so that was another deal. Everyone gets all their stuff out there to worry about. Why are they sticking around this little isolated spot in the middle of the Sea of Finland over the comm wires for 5 whole hours? Now, why are they just sitting there? So there's that kind of stuff's happening. So
I would imagine the Baltics are commencing on a lot of domestic drone production.
Yes. I think that there is a drone production in Sweden. I don't know why the Finns aren't doing that. I don't know, but they have bolstered their border defenses because the Russians decided they move all those assets closer to the border. Frankly, it would be a big mess if the Russians decided to move on Finland. Finland has a very deep history that it has to do with not liking the Russians. So it's going to be tough if they do it. But needless to say, that as I said, it's the things that I look at while we're when I have free time. I look at those things. It's calendar time.
Before you do that, it's
Yeah.
It's wrap time.
All righty. Roll it up.
We got everything prepared here. We've got the paprika, the Spanish roasted paprika, fresh endive, blanched spinach, pickled turnip, deep fried aubergine cutlet, some oil to finish the nori. So we've got nori that needs to be filled with rice and then rolled. The only problem is where you're going to find a sushi mat in the middle of a Spanish village. I've got this cutting board is not quite flexible enough, but I did find hopefully
What?
a workable solution.
That looks possible. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we've got you just make do with what you got. So we've got a placemat. Should be able to. Should work. When you're doing the rice, you may notice that nori has a smooth side and a kind of how would you say um,
Rough.
rough abrasive side. The abrasive side is what you want for the rice to stick to, and then when you roll it, you get this nice smooth exterior.
Nice.
So we're gonna fill about 2/3 of the rice to here, and then we're gonna dot it with a few rice grains so that when we complete the roll, it seals. And we're gonna grease that baby up and slice her up. So, oh, that's not bad. Oh, you want to water your dip your hands in a little water so the rice doesn't stick. Just gently lay it out. This will take me a while, so you can
Well,
get back to the
if
schedule, was it?
Susanna is here, she can tell us. I think something's coming up Saturday, is it not, Susanna?
Yes. Hi, thank you. Yes, it is. We're presenting the 2007 neo-noir and psychological legal thriller Fracture, and it is directed by nine-time Emmy winner Gregory Hoblit, who also directed the feature film Primal Fear, starring Richard Gere and Edward Norton. And Fracture stars Anthony Hopkins as a murderous husband prosecuted by hotshot district attorney Ryan Gosling. And I have to tell you, it is a very handsomely executed production, very true to the noir genre, in addition to the wonderful acting. And a last point of note, Anthony Hopkins was very enthusiastic about the role in the script, specifically because the story is structured like a Columbo story, and he is a huge Columbo fan. Thank you.
Okie dokie. All right, 7 o'clock on Saturday, yes, Susanna?
Yes, thank you.
All righty. At the bottom of the hour is going to be more Night Gallery. I hope Prof. John is here to talk a little bit about that. John?
Columbingo. Yes. So Night Gallery tonight. We have a very strong cast. And I think a solid story that the Rod Serling adopted from an original short story by a very fine writer. So I think it should be good. And let me tell you the performers in tonight's episode are Lewis Hayward, Agnes Moorehead, Grayson Hall, and Rachel Roberts.
Interesting.
Sherwood.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to this at 8:30 Eastern Time. There's something after what your night gallery tonight. Travis, do you want to talk a little bit about this? Travis? I don't recall
Maybe
the
not.
name. That Travis will have something to show. I think it's a horror film or a thriller of some kind.
Poker Face.
Poker Face. That's it. That's it.
There you go.
Which should be pretty good. Poker Face is isn't Poker Face something new? It's currently available on regular
Yeah.
networks.
Yes. Mhm.
That Oh, I know who's in it. It's that really yeah. Anyway, yes, it should be good. So that will happen after Night Gallery. So stick around, folks. And John, if you want to talk a little bit about Star Trek: The Next Generation, which is at 4 o'clock uh, on Sunday afternoon.
Yes, 4 o'clock on Sunday. We have Star Trek: The Next Generation, an episode called Loud as a Whisper.
Mm.
And it is about a diplomat who is deaf, and he has a chorus of people to help him in his negotiations, which the Enterprise is taking him to resolve a violent dispute between two peoples. And the actor that portrays the main guest star is deaf himself.
Yes, yes. All interesting. So that's at 4 o'clock on Sunday. At 2 o'clock on Sunday, we simulcast the class unity sessions on the war economy. You may want to register yourself for class unity. So it's a pretty lively discussion. It's about 20, 25 people over there. So that's actually quite interesting. 2 o'clock on Saturday, I will continue on with chapter 25 of Karl Marx's Capital Volume 1, the 2024 edition, the new translation by the two Pauls. And so that's happening. It is an interesting and busy week. And as I said, we've rescheduled all of my dis and dats to 4 o'clock on for Monday through Friday, and Weekly Marks is now at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturdays and Sundays. So there's that. We're getting close to the end. I think. Are you ready, Joe, to slice that sucker?
I am just about ready. I'm looking for a plate to plate this up on. Just give me a minute here. Look at the sheen. Look at the sheen on this baby.
Nice.
You
Really
gotta ask
love
about the Beatles.
You buff that with wax, Joe?
You bumped the Beatles.
Oh, squeezing out the cutlet. Oh, I
Come
really
on, need
love
to see
this.
that cross section.
Got it more or less as firm as it needs to be.
Nice. I'm hungry again.
There
Damn
we
it.
go.
Looks
It
good.
even looks like pork chop.
Yum.
It's
Yummy,
amazing.
yummy.
They have the breakfast gimbap, which is omelet, spam, and a bunch of pickled items. Spam is quite ever present in Korean cuisine.
Yeah, I think the beauty of these type of dishes is the combination of, bitter, sweet, salty.
Mm.
All of those different things are wrapped up in the same item. I'm surprised that this is a kind of thing that Americans, the American fast food industry, has not tried to co-opt. But I guess
Yeah, give them a few
too
years.
too
I mean,
weird
you
for folks, I guess.
Yeah, I
I'm
think the seaweed is a big issue.
Ah, yes.
I'm surprised you forgot the Beatles are on after Star Trek.
Oh,
Episode 5 of the anthology.
oh, that's right. After
Going to do music.
Star Trek Next Generation is more Beatles on Sunday night.
Yeah.
So, um, I'm sorry, Lane, I forgot to mention that. I've got to put a call
Like,
sheet
I'm not
together.
having a go. I'm not having a go. Just do like that. Look, I'll play what you want. I'm not having a go. I'm not having a go. I'll play what you want, but I'm not having a go either. Like, I'm not having a go at you, and like you're not having a go at me. No, I'm not having a go at you. You play what you want. Tell me what I want to play. I'm not having a go.
Oh God.
here we go.
Very nice,
Korean
though.
gimbap, Korean gimbap with Spanish characteristics. Got
Nice,
fried
nice.
aubergine, pickled turnip, roasted paprika, Belgian endive, and blanched spinach.
I would go as
Yum.
far to say it looks posh.
Yum. Yummy, yummy, yummy.
I was going to
Very
say
nice.
it'd be probably easier for me to find a sushi mat in Siam than out here.
Do you not have cling film?
So
Oh
No
what?
God.
cling film? Could you use cling film? Or as you call it, cellophane?
You need the problem is you need something firm to press the roll. So
Now, Joe, calm down.
yes.
All right, we're getting to the end here. I'll give you a
I think
moment
we are at
to.
the end.
We are at the end. We promise we'll be better next week. I will probably get more together and try to do a thing with whatever. Bye.
Bye. Bye.